Excelsior, everyone. Welcome to another Loki episode review and recap. Today's episode is episode 3, known as Lamentis. Lamentis. This is going to be some interesting things that we discuss in this one. So we're going to get right into it. But first things first, I would like to please ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate everyone that helped me get to 100 subscribers. And I will definitely be having a video about that sometime this week. But let's go ahead and get right into it. If you remember last time, we saw Lady Loki. But of course, I had a theory that it might not be Lady Loki. That it might actually be someone that Loki had created. But we'll get into that as well. Um, let's see what happens with these guys. Well, I gotta admit, the music for this, starting up on this, is really, really great. And a thing I forgot to mention before is that I believe that the judge that Mobius has a relationship with, her name is Renslayer. Renslayer is also the woman who has the affections of Kang the Conqueror. So it's pretty easy to surmise that Kang is probably her secret boo. Which, if that's the case, Mobius needs to just kick her to the side. Anyway, we are now in a tiki restaurant, a tiki bar, where the time hunter that Lady Loki had captured, she that she's having lunch with her. It's pretty interesting. Again, it's really hard for me to believe that this person is an adult that drinks alcohol, looks very young. I digress though. They're having a conversation, and subtly, Lady Loki tries to get her to say, where how do you get to the timekeepers? And she when the hunter catches on a little bit, things rewind. It's like, oh, maybe you're just tired, and we're now at this nighttime. Again, she's asking, what do the elevators look like? Oh, they're golden. She does various things to trick her within her own mind. Um, I said it was a great illusion because we see her touching her on the side of the head while she's speaking, and it's at this point where she looks on the cameras and we see Loki and crew. Excuse me. So now we are back in the back in present time. Lady Loki goes through that little time door, and she's at the TVA. The agents all running about trying to deal with what's going on, and she's moving forward. And she tries to tap someone on the side of the head. Lady Loki does not realize that magic does not work there. So she ends up having a fight and ends up erasing this guy with his own stick. She fights three more, takes two of them out, erases another guy. Our Loki, he catches up and realizing where he is, he goes to a locker, gets his two daggers, and it's go time. He catches up with Lady Loki, who has another fight with three other guards, again erasing another one. She's at those golden elevators, and it is time for her to put her plan into action, whatever her plan may be. So Loki and Lady Loki, and was really confusing me. She's at the elevators, and they end up changing sides. Now she's brandished a short sword, and he wants answers. He's like, "Hey, we're supposed to team up. We should team up. Why won't you?" And she's she's annoyed, and he wants to make sure she's actually a Loki. She says, "You're in my way." He says, "You are actually in my way." So they have a scuffle. Pretty interesting fight. We get to a point where they're both on the ground and both do similar poses at one another. And then here comes Judge Renslayer with two guards. This TVA are assholes. That's just flat out, because when Lady Loki puts that sword to our Loki's neck and says, "Back up or I'll kill him," she's like, "Go ahead. Don't care." But before she can erase both of them, Loki grabs I believe it's called time cartridge, grabs it from Lady Loki, hits it. They both go through the floor, and now they are in a different point in time and space. It's very important to remember that because now they are in this bunker-looking place. They both fall on their backs, and She sees the time cartridge thing. He sees as well. There's a scuffle for it. She gets it, but battery's low. Loki ends up taking it and hides it with his magic. Because now he's able to get the upper hand on her because he can use magic again. Now they're not at the TVA's stupid place. Before they can continue their fight, looks like white hot metal comes through the roof. At first I was like, is that a meteor? She asks, where are they? Well, we are given the title sequence. They are on Lamentis 1 in the year 2077. Before I tell you what Lamentis 1 is, I'm going to go a little bit further. It is a planet where a moon is about to crash into it. It is an apocalyptic level event, and Lady Loki says it is the worst one that he could have taken them to. So, Lamentis 1, not important in the comics at all. No, it is first seen, mentioned, and that's it in the 2006 comic Annihilation Wave Prelude #1. Lamentis is a planet that's on the edge of Kree space and is owned, obviously, by the Kree, but it is also one of the few planets I think it is destroyed by the Annihilation Wave. What is the Annihilation Wave, you ask? It is not a thing. It technically is a thing, but it's not a thing like a beam or a giant Death Star. It is a fleet of numerous ships led by a nihilist. I forgot to get his picture up. Here's his picture. By a nihilist. Now, are you a comic book fan? Yes, then you know who he is. But for those of you who are not, who is a nihilist? A nihilist is a villain of the Fantastic Four. He is the ruler or a denizen of the negative zone. What's a negative zone? Negative zone is a place with negative space. It is a parallel dimension next to the Earth 616. Not like parallel as in, there's two Mr. Fantastics. Parallel as in, this is the light verse, that's the dark verse. And Nihilus, even though he is a bug like alien that was born on a different planet, he rules over it. And he constantly gets into fights with the Fantastic Four. He is a. The Fantastic Four may make him look like a chump, but the Annihilation Wave was actually a pretty decent big deal because they were going through destroying planet after planet after planet, and when they came to a stalemate around Earth, they were able to make a treaty with the Kree. Of course, the Fantastic Four helped out with that. Another thing, though, is that the Annihilation Wave also has a prelude to Hive Mind Robotics, which deal with the Phalanx. If you are, and I'm not going to grab a picture of the Phalanx because their image varies, because the Phalanx are literally a cybernetic organic virus almost. They were used by the Kree to go to planet, and what the Phalanx usually do is they take those who are worthy and assimilate them and just destroy the planets. Now, if they sound familiar to you as an X-Men fan, that is because the Phalanx constantly have run-ins with the X-Men. Actually, mutant-hating humans took whatever the Phalanx is, juiced himself up with it, and used that to fight them. Now, after finding out about the X-Men, the Phalanx, they wanted to take over the X-Men. Doesn't work because if you have X genes, you are resistant to it. So they are something akin to what Cable has on his arm almost. Yeah. So I'm pretty interested about where this might go. You gotta love Kevin Feige and Marvel. They would take a know nothing thing like Lamentis 1 and possibly use it to shine a teaser of some sort. I digress. Lady Loki and Loki are running across this field. Well, across this is basically a mining area. They find a bunker to hanker down in, and Lady Loki, she's almost smiling, kind of as they're catching their breath, and she touches her hands to his head. It's actually around his neck, and he's like, "What are you trying to do?" And she's like, "What are you doing?" Literally, he says, "You're trying to enchant me," and she's like, "Why isn't it working?" He's like, "Because I have a strong mind. Because I'm not susceptible to things like that." And she thinks the only reason why, because while they were running, he saved her from meteors. She saved him from meteors. Literally, the only reason she saved him because he has that device on him, and they needed to leave. He saves her because he can't recharge it without her knowledge. So, things to note: Lady Loki has a British accent. It's like it works with uh, Tom Hiddleston's Loki having that British accent. Excuse me. And as they're walking, trying to find their way to find a power source, he was mentioning her being Loki again. Of course, she hates it. She's like, I was not. I haven't been Loki for a long, long time. I'm Sylvie now, and it confirms what I said. She, being blonde, being green, is Sylvie. I can't remember your last name. I actually have my old notes here. Don't remember her last name, but she is Sylvie, the young lady that Loki turned into an Asgardian. Well, only in name. She's still Sylvie. Don't remember her last name. Can't remember her last name to save my life, but she is technically a Lady Loki, but she changes her name, which is how we can have the same character but not be the same character, and at the same time it not be it's Lady Loki but it's not Lady Loki. So again, I approve of things like this. You literally took the source material. You said this is our source material. Two things. We're just going to combine it and change it a bit so it makes sense for our story. Thank you, Marvel. Thank you. Anyway, um, Loki said, our Loki, still saying, hey, um, what was your whole plan though? Were you just gonna destroy the time variance authority and just make a power vacuum? And he's saying I wouldn't have done that, and she's saying of course you wouldn't have. You joined them like a coward. Blah blah blah. They have 12 hours before more meteors, more gravity quakes before that entire planet is destroyed. So they are moving through the abandoned town, of course, bickering all the way. Loki says that she uses brute force too much. It's not a substitute for diplomacy and guile because they come up to this little homestead. She kicks the door in and gets blasted by this power wave of a woman. Has this gun and just shoots her out. She goes launching far. Loki is saying, I thought it was funny. You thought it was funny that you shot her. We're not here to hurt you. Just want to talk. And he looks in the mirror. Looks in the window. Sees that she has a picture of her next to a gentleman, presumably her husband. Loki changes himself into him. Even changes his voice. Um, and he tries to talk to her. Says, hey, I'm here. And she's like, Patrice? She's Patrice. Patrice has never said a nice thing to her in all of the time they've been together. Of course, we get a nice little joke moment where Lady Loki, should I say Sylvie, says, "So which part was that? Was that diplomacy or guile?" And of course, they're just gonna ask her. You know, they're gonna ask her. Oh, first she says that they aren't anybody. That they're just devils because, of course, it's magic. She changed herself. They ask where everyone is. They've gone to the Ark, and the Ark is the way to get out of there. She says you won't be able to get on without a ticket. They're not worried about that. They're just going to use the power supply to power up what they have so they can get the heck out of there. So, long, long line of people. We have one woman who almost looks like that one judge who I call Barth. What is her name? I forget her name because I don't like her and I don't care about her. But person kind of looks like her almost. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but um, people are complaining they've been waiting in line for hours. They're trying to get on this train to get to the Ark, and they're trying to come up with a plan. Her plan is to enchant a guard and have them get through. Uh, Loki says that we're going to do things his way. After he changes sides with her, he's in one of the guard's outfits. He's going to carry her through and plans to have her look like a prisoner. Well, they get through, and one of the key things to hear is you hear someone say they're only giving tickets to the wealthy. What about us? They don't care about us. As you see, society is starting to fall as the incoming apocalypse is on its way. They try to sneak through as they let someone else on try to sneak through with Sylvie. Now the guard is saying, "Hey, where's your tickets?" Right? And Sylvie is able to touch his arm as he calls for a superior. You're just saying, "Oh yeah, I forgot. These two supposed to get on. They called me earlier. They get on, easy peasy, no problem." And now we have some time for the both of them to sit down. Um, we have time for them to sit down and to learn a bit about both of them. One thing to note, this is a very high class train. They probably had no intention of letting anyone poor get on there at all. Um, Lady Loki, Sylvie, she sits down and Loki says, "I can't ride backwards on the train." That's his deal. She says, I don't have my back to doors." He's like, "There's two doors. There's two doors here." He just sits and they begin to talk. Um, he said, "It was my plan to get us here." She said, "Plans are multiple steps. You dressing up as a guard and just sneaking in is just a thing you did." She's visibly tired, literally covering her mouth like that while yawning. And, he tells her to sleep. She's like, she doesn't sleep around untrustworthy people. Ha ha ha. She says for him to sleep. He says, "Oh, so you can rifle through my things and get the thing and escape through a moving train." She's not going to try it because he actually has decent magic. And she asks where he learned his magic. He says his mother taught him. When she asks what was his mother like, says she was the queen of Asgard. She was good, pure, and decent. She laughs. She laughs, and he said, uh, when she asked, she couldn't really be your mom because she's pure and decent. He says, "Well, we're adopted." Spoiler, we're adopted. She's like, "Yeah, I know that. They told me that." He's like, "Wait, they told you that? They didn't tell you?" Eventually, they told him, but they told him by the time they told him in Thor 1, it was kind of like, "I've been with you guys for hundreds of years, and now you chose to tell me." Probably could have changed him a little bit, but who knows? um, Let me see. That's one of the few differences. Uh, he asks he asks Sylvie about her mother, and she barely remembers her. It's been so long. It's probably a lie. I doubt it. If she were, unless she's been fighting the TVA for eons, like for hundreds of years, then wow. But I kind of doubt that. But again, time does move differently, so who knows? um, Loki speaks more about what was is that mother's name? Hera. I cannot remember Odin's wife's name to save my life. Again, forgetting a few things, but he said she used to show him magic and do magic for him when he was smaller. Making fireworks, and he said one day she said that you'll be able to do this. She always believed that he could do anything. She was that person that would believe in anyone and in their potential. And Loki did some fireworks for her. He asked her, "Where did you learn that trick that she does?" Because Loki doesn't know how to do that. And she says she's self-taught. She offers to show it to him, but he's like, "No, you're gonna do the thing with mine." And she says, "All right then." So, uh, someone comes by with some alcohol. So if he doesn't want to drink it, Loki says he'll take both of them. And as he's drinking, he's wondering why the old woman chose to stay and die. And Sylvie says, "Well, you know, she was in love." And he's like, "Well, no, she hated that guy." "No, love is hate." And Loki mocks her, like, "Okay, love is hate." We get what she was saying, but it was a really stupid way of saying that. And yeah, the feels like some sexual tension to me, which is okay. I guess it would be masturbation if they had sex because technically it's themselves, but they're not each other. Who knows? I'm just throwing a funny thing out there. He asks her if there is a bow for her at the end of this whole dethroning the TVA thing, and I can't tell if she's serious or she's just making a joke, but saying, there's a postman that she met through all of time that she's had a long distance relationship with. And she asked him, "What about you? Are there any princesses or princes waiting for you?" And, she's sure that he's had many a suitor. He's like, "Yeah, but, you know, nothing ever felt real for him." We're getting a real connection from these characters. We're getting some really good emotion out of them. Whether I don't think it's fake because Loki may be an excellent liar and an excellent deceiver and very mischievous, not very good at hiding his emotions. Mm-mm. So, He said love is. She says love is mischief. He tries to come up with something that love is, and he says I'll come back to it. And he has another drink. So they should relax. They're trying to hijack the civilization's only hope of leaving. And we get a nice little shot of a large. I don't know if it's just a rock on the planet, just something falling and just breaking into it. Next thing we know, Sylvie's waking up to Loki singing a shit. Well, I don't know if it counts as a shanty. Yeah, it's a shanty. He's singing a shanty. I think the soft part he sings, it might be in Celtic. I'm unsure of that. But, he's in his TVA outfit now. He's not even glamored up. Some guy looks at him, me mugging white guy walks out. Of course, the rich man gonna tell that you in first class. And it's almost like he's singing to her, but Loki's very much drunk. She is, Sylvie's visibly upset, asking what is wrong with you. Loki is drunk. And he tries to say that love is a dagger, it does all this stuff, but then when you reach for it, it disappears. And he says, that worked better in my head. She's trying to let him know, hey, someone's gonna come and get you. And his whole thing is, it's the end of the world. Who's gonna care? All the guards come, both sides, and they want to see tickets. Loki accidentally makes fireworks appear, and that was the wrong thing for him to do. And so we already know what comes next. They get into a fight, and actually Loki initiates it because once his arm comes behind his back, he's punching and kicking. Sylvie is happy; she's visibly happy to engage in this fight. Um, she's doing her thing. She doesn't really pull out the short sword. She pulls it out in the sheath, but she's doing her thing. Loki takes the dagger and tries to help her and completely misses. uh, he throws a guy out the train through the window. Two guys throw him out of the train. She knocks out these guys and realizes he has the thing and follows Loki. Unfortunately, when Loki fell hard, she pulls out her blade. He takes off that stupid TVA variant jacket and magic pulls it out. The device is broken. She calls him a clown. And Loki replies, he's hedonistic. And Sylvie says, more hedonistic than you are. Trust me. But I don't do all of that at the expense of the mission. So she is more responsible than our Loki. Makes a lot of sense. I love how these variants are it's literally a person, but there is a difference to them, especially in the time, whatever time they came from, and whatever happened to them in that universe. I'm very interested in seeing a universe where the Odinsons tell Loki, "Hey, you're adopted," off the bat. What happened there? That the TVA. I wonder if the TVA got rid of her timeline while she was on the run and was able to escape. They got rid of her timeline, and that's literally disintegrating everyone. I can see how a person would be beyond pissed of something like that. Anyway, um, I believe Loki says some type of comment, and Sylvie gets so mad. You see the green energy in her hands. She throws her hands down, makes a large explosion, and screams loudly and takes a seat. Of course, he asks, you feel better? He's like, yeah, I do. You should do it too. So, we still don't really know what her plan was, but I digress. Now the issue is them getting off of this planet that's going to explode. Um, Now they're trying to figure out what to do. And this planet's going to be destroyed and everybody on it's going to die regardless. They can't escape. But Loki says, well, they never had us on it before. Pretty sure we can find a way to make sure the thing gets out of here. She says, all right, cool. Let's go do that. He's like, really? All right, well, they're going to go and do that. Obviously, when you don't have a lot of options, you might as well explore even the most ridiculous of options. So, Loki wants to know more about Sylvie. She starts to say, well, I have a tactical advantage now. And he's saying, how does your magic that you did work? She goes into saying, well, I go into a person's mind, and when I enchant them, they're most of all the time I always am able to take the person over and make them do whatever I want. But for those who are a bit stronger, they're both in there, and she has to coax things out of them to get what she needs. Especially like the TVA agent we saw, the hunter. She says, she had to go. She was tricky. She had to go to a time back before she was in the TVA. She liked a lot of margaritas. And Loki says, "Wait a minute. Time before that, I was told that they were all created by the timekeepers there, and they're not necessarily born; they're just created." And she goes, "No, that the time agents are literally what we are. They're variants." Holy crap! Big ass reveal of the episode. The time agents are all variants that seem to have had their memories wiped. I am definitely coming back to that one at the end of this. So they're going into the area where the arc is supposed to go away. And it's making me think of Transformers now, because actually the ship looks like the arc from Beast Wars. Huh. I digress. They asked, do they trust one another? Of course we do. We got to get this done. So things are going to get messy instantly, because they are not letting poor people through. There is rebellion. And I'm still trying to think to myself, the world is ending. Are policemen and guards so brainwashed, or are they so part of the cause that it's like, we're gonna still keep these poor folk from getting in there? Y'all gonna die too, or did they tell you that you're gonna come back for you? Anyhow, they're having fights in and out of the area, trying to get around the crowd, trying to get through, because these gates are closing and the ark is there, but buildings are crumbling. The moon. Everyone finally sees that moon explode because it is that close to the planet. We get some really cool moments of magic. Loki's able to actually reverse a building from falling directly on top of them. Um, and as they're making their way, they're about to get on that gate. Piece of falling debris falls, destroys the ark. Everyone who was there, all the people who were there, have just stopped. There's dead silence. There's no more fighting, no more commotion. Everyone sees everyone who was on there is dead, and Sylvie just starts walking backwards while Loki's still looking on. Sylvie walks backwards. That's the end of our episode. Yeah. Um, and we had a very old ass song for the ending. Don't know the name to it. Didn't care to look it up. Was more excited about finding Easter eggs and trying to get this out to you guys. This episode was only 43 minutes. Well, our first two were 52 to 53 minutes, which technically an hour. Um, Checking my notes, I actually did not miss anything, and I actually remember this entire episode. So, I would give episodes 1 and 2 fives. I would give this one a 4 for two things. Lamentis 1 it's a tease of a tease. It's a tease of going in 2 to 3 different directions. We got Phalanx, we got Annihilation Wave, we got Annihilation Wave, and we have Annihilus, which means Fantastic Four. Phalanx means X-Men. We also get the Kree shit, which also means we're going to get Captain Marvel stuff. And Lamentis that they're on now is in the year 2077. So we can rewind all this and get back to 2021, 2022, 2023, what have you. We can see what becomes of the planet. Who knows? Maybe by them doing all of this and all their time hopping, perhaps Lamentis won't get destroyed in the future. We don't know. Pretty interesting. I already covered this. Can the two of them make it out of this alive? That is actually that is such a good cliffhanger. A good thing to hook you in. But like, I need to see how Loki makes it out of this. They already have planned to make a season 2, and they're on the cusp of saying we want a season 3. And with what they can do with Loki, I can see that being possible. The fact that all timelines the timeline has exploded with different branches that they can see. So here's what's crazy. if the time agents, the judge, actually don't even know if the judge is actually not in on this. She seems like a sneaky B word. If the hunters and then the agents don't know about the judges, she's the one that's in close contact with the stupid timekeepers. If they're variants, how do you know they kill other variances? Maybe they keep the variances that are super cool and super important and make them in there. Because in the comics, they make these, the people that work there are made, and there are a few people that are pulled in. And this one seems like mostly everybody is just pulled in their variant of someone. So the Loki believing that the timekeepers are made up space aliens could actually be true, which is interesting because now we have the TVA, which no one's likable from the TVA except for Mobius. I'll just start calling him Mobius, but no one's likable except for him. Uh, if Kang, who should be part of this, because his Boo Renslayer's in there, what if Kang all this time was like, yeah, I kind of knew that I was a variant of a person named Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards is the future son of Reed and Sue Richards. Once he finds out that, and once he finds this out, he plays along and he's just going to find a way to take over. I can see this fact being blown up and shown to everyone, resulting in either a different TVA or TVA being disbanded, or Loki, the show, not the character, the show Loki has just created Kang the Conqueror. Another thing, can we have ties and crossovers with X-Men? Because I said in my first episode review, sorry, in my second episode review, Sylvie, Lady Loki, has just created the X-Men. Not Wanda. Forget you, Wanda. Forget you. Sylvie, the new Bay, has created alternate timelines, has created the X-Men. So, I keep telling you guys, one of my favorite comic books is The Exiles. The Exiles have used Psylocke from 616 when Psylocke was Betsy in Kuwan's body, but that's my favorite Psylocke. That is my Psylocke. I I digress. They've used Psylocke from 616. They've used Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth, who is not a jackass, who is a raper and a murderer. They have used various other X-Men characters from time and space. There's actually been a team of 4 to 6 Wolverines. I don't know how many times I've said this. We can actually change Exiles now to not just being just an eccentric, an X-focused group. It can be like, here's Loki, the leader of the Exiles, with Sylvie, cohort leader of the Exiles. We could end up with a whole nother show. Still titled Loki because you want to make money. But we can end up with a show where these group of 6 to 8, can't make it too many because you still got to focus on them, 6 to 8 characters who are variants of other characters or who are just displaced from the timeline, work together to not erase what's going on, but to heal the cracks in space and time. We still have not done that yet. There's still things like the Cancerverse. There's still things like the Annihilation Wave. Hell, if Marvel really wants to, they could do a 6 to 8 episode Marvel Zombies thing where here's this universe with the zombies. How are these characters going to get out and how are they going to save this world? Marvel, if you haven't been watching this and you're not, I would take a 1% check, please. But yeah, this is what I'm thinking. I am super intrigued now. I actually wrote that in my notes. I'm very intrigued. I need to see where this story ends. I really don't want 3 characters I don't want to see die. I don't want Sylvie to die. Yes, I'm biased. I don't want our Loki to die. I'm calling this Loki our Loki because, Avengers Loki. And I don't want Mobius to die. Renslayer can kick rocks. Other agent, how I call Big Bertha, she can kick rocks. I don't really care about them too much. Granted, this is the one show that's had tons of women of color representation. We've had African, we've had African American, we've had someone from the Caribbean, all three of them. So, yeah, it sucks for me to say that I don't like the characters, though. The characters do not intrigue me. They are literally just the time police. But again, tell me what you think of the episode down in the comment section below. Please remember, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, be notified of more videos like this. Share this video. You can just listen to my video as a podcast if you want to as well. Sure, I may show a picture here and there, but listen to my sweet dose of tones. We want other people to see what a great conversation we're having, right? So do the thing. As always, I thank you for joining me. Please be good, be blessed. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Even if you are vaccinated, still wash your hands. Don't be dirty. Be good to others. Be good to yourself. Especially, don't be a jerk. And I will definitely see you next time. Excelsior.